Flooding leading to detours and delays for drivers and flyers in Houston. Major backups caused on this part of I-10 at McCarty Street. Around 3.
Well, looks like it's going to get wet. Looks like it's going to get wet around here, huh?
Yes, you. No, sir.
Well, we can't be sure, but that's what it looks like. Happy Monday. How's everybody doing this Monday morning?
Everything's fair, man.
Good.
How you feeling?
I feel pretty good this morning. Thank you for asking.
Well,
Feel good. Everybody here. We're missing some people.
still miss something.
Okay. All right. We had some folks had appointments, stuff like that. That's all right. I'm pointed to North Point over there. I left y'all your assessments over at North Point. What we're going to do this morning is a little bit different. It's okay. We're going to go over 4 areas that, we're trying to reach here at this in this program, which we kind of feel like if we get those 4 areas under control, we're going to be in pretty good shape. But we're going to go over a few things that's just about self-care. Because self-care is important. Here's the deal. It's going to be hard for me to stay in my recovery if I don't deal with my own self-care. So this week is about spirituality, and I know this stuff comes up pretty quickly. There's only 4 of them, and they go around pretty quickly. But this week we're going to be looking primarily at some spirituality in our recovery, but we're not going to stick to that. We're going to do a little bit of that because that's what the focus is. But we're not going to stick to that entirely. I've done that in the past, and 5 days worth of it is just too much. So we're going to look at some other stuff down through the week. But today we're going to do this little self-care assessment. And we're going to take our time and we're going to do it and fill it all out. And look, it belongs to you. You can throw it away. You can keep it. You can do whatever you want. What I want out of this, what I'm hoping to get out of this is that we get to take a good look at how we are dealing with ourselves. And if I'm dealing well with myself, that's going to help me in my recovery. It's going to help me stay off drugs and alcohol. Because one of the ways that we cope, and one of my coping skills was vodka. Started out as wine and then went to beer and wine and beer, and then it got to bourbon and stuff like that, and then finally it got to vodka because I bought that lie, that people can't smell vodka, they can't tell you're using. That's not true. That's not true. If you're using, people can tell, right? And if you're using a whole lot of breath mints and stuff, people can tell. Yeah, if you buy breath mints by the lot, they know something's going on, So if you've got your book, turn to page 21, and on page 21 it shows us what we're doing. And spiritual health, and a lot of people come into recovery and they're really not, they don't have a real spiritual connotation in their life at all. And, this isn't church, so we're not here to make you get into a spiritual place. But what we want to tell you, what we want you to get a hold of is that spirituality is one of the greatest ways to help me stay in my recovery. I need somebody to talk to when nobody wants to talk to me. Because I will tell you, in my spirit, in my walk, in my recovery, there's been a lot of family members who have decided that I'm not good enough for them to be hanging out with, and there's a whole lot of friends that I used to have who decided that they really didn't want to be my friend anymore. So I had to have somebody to go to when there was nobody to go to. So, I chose Jesus Christ as my higher power. You get to choose who you want to choose. So, but it's always been helpful to me to be able to go to somebody. A lot of the times, it's not always, but a lot of the time when we first come into recovery and stuff, we are at a place where we're unfamiliar or unwilling to look at any spirituality. We're not familiar with a spiritual life. You've been unwilling to accept the existence of spiritual matters. We don't believe that there's anybody or anything greater than myself. And that's just not true. We all know that there is. And so we need to at some point start looking at that, and we will a little bit this week. Now, what we're going to do, I'm going to hand these out. And you'll need a pen, pencil. There's 3 pages of it. I want you to flip out over that. There's 3 pages. And we're going to go over all 3 pages of it. Shouldn't take us all that long to go over it. I don't want to. Thank you. I appreciate it. I need to have you. That's wonderful. And the thing is, if we have questions or comments or stuff like that, the floor is open to all of that stuff. But I am going to ask that you stay awake, pay attention, because you might just get something out of it, and I'm hoping that you do. At the end of it, we're going to look. I wanted to share this with you before we got started, and the same thing goes on over at North. We do have these a little survey when you leave, when you get out of here, when you complete the treatment, where you can say whether or not you've enjoyed yourself and all of that stuff, and whether or not the treatment was good and all of that. And I encourage you to fill that out and be totally, completely honest, because that's what we do. That's how we know whether or not things are going the way they're supposed to.
So 3 pages.
Oh, yeah, there's 3 pages to it. Everything you said. And you don't have to put your name on it. Somebody over at North, hand them out. Make sure there's 3 pages and they're all different. And we're gonna talk about it just a little bit. Then we're gonna jump off into it. It's just a lot of questions that you have to answer for yourself, and so we may get out of group more quickly, but we may not. Sir?
You confused us big time with the 3 pages.
I confused you with the 3 pages. I'm sorry. Yes, sir. I wish you would. Go ahead. I mean, we've been in groups for almost nearly 10 minutes. Yeah, I can see how you. You got it? You ready? Y'all take your time. And look, we're supposed to also be filling out you can make it a little bit more confusing. We're supposed to be filling out our sign-in sheets. So if everybody has signed in, we have the TAP sheet, we have the HHSC sheet going around. Y'all make sure you get your name signed on there. I will tell you this, that Friday, when I got the sheet, there were like 4 people here who had not signed in. So make sure you sign in. We're getting them? It starts off with page 1, and then it says page 2 on the bottom. Appreciate that. Has everybody signed in on the HHSC? And they are, look, right down at the bottom of it here, they are numbered. So they're numbered 1, 2, and 3 at the bottom of the page. Thank you. All right, everybody got one. All right. We're going to get started here pretty quick. Don't fill them out until we start, because there's questions and comments and stuff we're going to be making on each one of them as we go through them. So just wait until we get started before we start filling them out. I know you guys already know all that stuff, but let's do it this way so that it looks like we're doing a really good group. So here's the deal. Self-care activities are the things that we do to maintain good health and to improve our own well-being. You're going to find a lot of these activities that we look at in here are things that we already do as part of our normal routine. I looked over this thing before I gave it to you. I looked over it, before we got started, and I do most of these things at some level or another. You know, some of these things are just life hacks. You have to do them. You do them every day. Some of them we do better than we do others, and that's what we're looking at today. So in this assessment, we're going to think about how frequently or how well we're performing different self-care activities. The goal is for us to help us learn about our self-care needs by spotting patterns, getting new ideas, and flagging areas that are lacking in our lives. There's no right or wrong answers on this assessment. For example, giving something a low rating doesn't necessarily mean it's important to act on. Focus on what's important to you. And like I said, these things are confidential. They're for you unless you want to turn them in and let your counselor see them or all that kind of stuff. So it's not something that we're going to be blurting out and things. Now, they have these little stars. If you'll see these stars up here, that's up over every one of the answers. And the one that has 1 star on it is when you do the worst. You don't do very well at that. That says, I do this poorly, or I don't do it at all, or I just do it every now and then, or something like that. So that's the first one. The one that has 2 stars up over it says, look, I do this okay, or I do this sometimes, and I had a lot of them that kind of landed in that area. And then the one over on the end, all the way over to the right, has 3 stars on it. It says, I do this well, I do this often, I do this all the time. So, and there are some things like I would like to improve at this, and that's over here by the thing itself. Whatever it's talking about, if you want to mark that one, that means I need to work on that one. So the very first one is eating healthy. And I see people already way ahead. Oh, that's okay. That means I'm marking down up here, didn't pay attention, didn't follow instructions. That's all right. So the very first one we're looking at is physical self-care. Now, how important to you is physical self-care? In our recovery, how important is physical self-care? What do you think? You're not participating because you're filling out the thing instead of participating.
That's pretty important.
How important is that? You said it's pretty important? Well, when we're in our recovery, the physical self-care is very important because what does physical self-care entail?
Working out.
Working out can be part of physical self-care. What else?
Take care of your body, like shower, shave.
Take care of your body and all of that stuff. Now, the very first one says, I eat healthy foods. So what are healthy foods?
Fruits, vegetables, stuff with not a lot of sugar in them.
Now, y'all don't let Mr. Odell be the only one here that answers. So what are some healthy foods that you wake up and tell me what some healthy foods are that you eat?
Fried green tomatoes.
Fried green tomatoes. Are fried green tomatoes healthy food?
They were to be fried.
Word until you fry them. Yes. You can't eat them very well if they're, green tomatoes don't taste too well to me, but once you fry them, they taste really good. But I will tell you this, that pretty much anything that you fry is good. That hat that you have, you fry that hat, I could pretty well eat that hat. Yes, sir?
Now, honestly, I say beets.
Beets, you know what? I've heard that. I'm going to tell you the truth. I bought a beet today. I went over to Market Basket. I bought me a beet. I'm gonna wash that thing up real good, and I'm gonna slice it up, and I'm gonna try to eat it just like they showed me how to do it on Facebook. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or anything, but I'm gonna give that a shot. People say that's really good
I
stuff.
know pretty good. Slice them up, put them on a pan,
Yeah.
put some honey on them.
Yeah.
And then leave them in the oven for a little while.
I bet that is good, but I can't eat the honey, but that does
Well,
sound
just
good.
bake them.
So one of the things that we need to understand when we're talking about eating healthy foods is that we've talked about this before in this group, is that we go by the color of the food. What's the healthiest color for food? What is it? Yellow?
Green.
That's not true.
Green.
Green is the healthiest color. So what is under green?
Yellow.
Greens. You can eat all the greens, all the green beans, all the broccoli, okra. I like okra, but the only way I like it is when it's fried, and once you fry something, all of the good that's in it is gone. So if you fry it, you can forget it. But I like it, but I don't like it any other way because it's kind of, unless you do it well, it's slimy. But almost anything that's green, you can eat that, and man, you can eat all of that you want. It's really good for you and all of that stuff. What's the next color? Yellow. Yellow, Yellow, some stuff you have to limit some stuff that's yellow. But stuff like yellow squash, that's good for you. Yellow apples and stuff like that is pretty good. But if the color of the fruit or the color of the vegetable is yellow, then you're supposed to limit that to some extent. You can eat a bunch of it. One of the worst things you can eat is corn. Corn is yellow. Corn does not break down in your body very well, and corn is like a carbohydrate. It will cause your sugar and stuff to go up. But you notice if you eat a lot of corn and you go to the bathroom, you can recycle the corn. It's right there. A yellow moon pie, you should only eat a very few of them, right? Just like everything else. You shouldn't eat moon pies at all. Sugar, if you can get rid of sugar out of your life, that's the best thing in the world for you. And the worst foods are all the white foods. Why is that?
I don't know, turns are kind of white.
Most of the white foods, now not all of them, but most of the white foods, like cauliflower is a white food. And we use that, we turn that into all sorts of things, and we eat it, we use it for spaghetti, and we use it for all sorts of stuff. But they also make flour out of it now, and it's not bad for you at all. But mostly things that are white, like potatoes, they're
about white thing.
a what? A white onion. Onions are pretty good for you. So mostly all of the colored onions, or whatever color they are, they're pretty good for you. The purple onions are usually hotter than the others, but there's a white, what is it, a 10, 15 onion? Man, they're good. But potatoes are carbohydrates, and a baked potato is like eating a skin full of sugar. Rice is carbohydrates, and it's white. Um, Pasta is white and all of that kind of stuff. So we need to stay away from all of those things because they're mostly all carbohydrates, and carbohydrates are sugar. And sugar, let me share this with you. I do know this. We love sugar because sugar is the most addictive substance on earth. It's more addictive than cocaine. So it's very, 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 very addictive. And if you eat, like I'm diabetic, and so I fight staying off of sugar. But if I go have one of those little bitty kisses, that just kind of that gets that addiction going. I want to eat that whole bag, or something else. Then I get a gallon of ice cream now. So if they were talking about the other day on the Facebook when I was looking on there, it said if people would stay off sugar completely in all of its forms for 10 days, they would notice a complete change in how they feel because sugar is a poison. It's just poison in your system. Yes, sir.
Now, if I'm correct, potatoes have starch also, right?
Say it again.
Does a potato have lots of starch in it?
A potato is starchy and it's a carbohydrate, and it's just really not good for us. If we can get to a place like this with our diet, we're going to be in a whole lot better place. The second one on here is a little bit. This one, I don't think that you have this group. I don't think this group needs a whole lot of reminding about personal hygiene or stuff like that. Now, I will tell you that we need a good reminding about our own personal health because we do eat a lot of sugar. So this group, we eat a lot of sugar because we provide a lot of sugar. Right? Right? We provide a lot of sugar. Right. So as long as we provide a lot of sugar, people are going to eat a lot of sugar. Right? Yeah, and it's really, really, really addictive and really, really not good for us. But the personal hygiene, most of us have that pretty much under control, right? Most of us know what we're supposed to do. Why is it important for us to have good personal hygiene in our recovery? What's that got to do with me using drugs and alcohol? Yes, sir.
It's a way to fight
Ooh, that's a good point. It's a way to fight against depression, anxiety, all of those mental health issues that bother some of us. That's a good way. If I can feel good about myself, I can feel good. When my self-esteem is low and all of that stuff, then when I'm feeling good about who I am and I know that my hygiene is at a high level, then I can feel better about myself. Yes, sir?
But now,
I'm sorry.
it's part of normal.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. That's a really, really, really good point. He said that it is part of your normal routine, and for me, as an addict, routine is good. Right? I need to have a routine. What I need to do is change my routine because while I'm when I was using, I had a routine, I had a ritual that I worked through. And we've talked about that a dozen times in here, that when we get up in the morning, we do the same thing. We put our pants on, we put the same leg in every time. If we put the right leg in, that's the one we're going to put in tomorrow morning. If we put the left leg in, that's the one we're going to put in tomorrow morning. That's what we do. That's our ritual. So we're not going to change that. So if we get in the ritual of using underarm deodorant, taking a shower, washing our feet, all of that kind of stuff, smoking dope, yeah, we're going to be in that ritual. And it's better to get in a good, positive ritual that's going to help don't do that in my group. Don't do that. That is romancing the drug. And that caused it, yes, that's what that's called. And that's going to make everybody get triggered. So don't be romancing the drug. That's what that is. So don't do that. So take care of personal hygiene. How do we do that? Look over here and see where you are. I would expect that just about everybody is a 3-star on that one. Whereas on the diet, I would expect, look, my diet, I'm like at a 1-star. I might even be over here where I need to flag that diet. I think probably I do need to flag that diet because my diet's not what it's supposed to be. You know, I mean, I don't eat the right foods. I should. I had a big old thing of popcorn last night, and I like popcorn. Popcorn good. Uh, Broke my popcorn maker last night. But popcorn, if I eat popcorn before I go to bed, it'll make me feel bad during the night. And I knew I shouldn't have done it, but I had to get up and take Alka-Seltzer and all of that kind of stuff, because of that. And it's carbohydrates. You know, it's corn that has been popped, so it's carbohydrates. So the third one, I'm going to give myself 2 stars on the third. At least 2 stars. Sometimes 3 stars. Because I exercise all the time, and now I've slacked off a little bit because you know how you can hurt your shoulder, your elbow, when you're lifting weights and stuff. Now I hurt this elbow. This elbow has always hurt. It's just always hurt. But this one I hurt, and man, it's bothering me a lot. Yes. Did I go to yes?
Did you work out?
Yes.
You made it.
What? I don't know why you go to the gym. Well, I always work out when I go to the gym, you know, to some level. Yeah, I'm usually there at least 3 times a week. But last week I worked out my back, and somehow or another I hurt my elbow, and it's kicking my butt around. So why is it important for us to exercise? In recovery, we're talking about why we're doing these kinds of things in our recovery. What's it got to do with me using drugs and alcohol back in the back?
Normally don't do those.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay. Yeah, so getting a new routine going, getting something new started. You had something? Okay.
oh, it's a way to like push yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that gets back to that self-esteem thing. We all need to have self-esteem that's on a higher level. And so, pushing myself, doing something different, getting myself built up a little bit, building a few muscles and feeling better about myself is going to help with my self-esteem. Yes?
Maybe it's burning like nervous energy or whatever.
Yes.
This
yeah.
helps with that.
That's a good point. It burns up that nervous energy to think when I get to being triggered, I get to where I want to use and stuff like that. Going to work out helps a lot. It'll get rid of that nervous energy and stuff like that.
Like sacred, like work out, and say you work it out, or not, work out, builds up certain like endorphins.
Yeah, and that's a big deal. When you go and you work out, it dumps the dopamine into your bloodstream, and it helps you get that normal, natural little opiate high that is good. It's moral. It's the thing to do, and so it helps in that area as well. So there's a whole bunch of different places where working out is going to help me do that. And I do notice that we work out here a lot. We have some people that work out a whole lot, and I see you walking is a workout, and so that's a good thing. And so, and that's a good point, because if you can't get out here and work out heavy with the weights, as you grow older, it's more important for you to work out with the weights, because resistance training actually makes your bones stronger. Your bones build themselves from the inside, and as you lift weights and do some resistance training, it's going to make your bones stronger. When you're your age, that doesn't make a whole lot of difference because your bones are already strong. That's not your bone, son. That's not your bone. But that makes your bones strong. But when you get my age, there's a lot of people who fall, a lot of people who have hips that get broken, arms that get broken, things like that. So it's a good thing to build stronger bones when you get my age. So and I'm 72. So as you continue to grow older, and you will, if we stay off drugs and don't kill ourselves using all that stuff, then as you grow older, it's important for you to build those strong bones up. And over there now, when I go over to the little gym over here. It's a pretty nice gym, and I see some fairly elderly people in there. I see some older ladies in there, And they're working out with weights and stuff, and that's very, very important for them to do that because they're growing their bones stronger.
Best thing you can do is swim.
Swimming,
You have a way to party. A lot of gyms have.
yes. I don't think this one has one. I haven't seen one.
Moving,
Yeah,
working muscles you don't even know yet.
exactly. Swimming is really, 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 really good. You need to add to that resistance training because resistance training is the one that builds the bones. And swimming doesn't do a lot of resistance training. It does do some because you're pushing yourself through the water. So it does do a little bit, but it doesn't do it like you need to do it. So go and work out. And as you get older, work out some more. Work out, just continually do that. And it's going to help you do that. The next one, I don't know where I fall on now. I guess I fall on, I don't know. I'm thinking of two maybe. I don't need to flag it. Wear clothes that make you feel good about yourself. I think we need to be pretty careful about what we wear. I want to wear clothes that speak about who I am. I don't want to wear clothes that.
Well, nice clothes, like self-esteem.
It does. It can. If you wear nice clothes, you can build your self-esteem up. I don't want to wear clothes that send a message to other people that might make them feel bad. I don't want to do anything that's going to do something like that. So I pay close attention to what I wear. Here at this place at this facility during the week, from Monday through Friday, we're supposed to wear what's called office casual. And that's what I usually wear, slacks and a shirt, office casual. On Fridays, we're able to wear blue jeans as long as they're nice blue jeans. Clothing that covers, clothing that looks good, clothing that is comfortable. I saw a guy one time at a dance I was at. He was a roper or something. He had won a belt buckle for being a cowboy, and he had that belt buckle on. That thing looked like a hubcap off of a 1949 DeSoto. And he walked around all the time. His pants were so tight he couldn't bend his knees and he couldn't sit down because he was wearing a hubcap. So I'm thinking, that's not comfortable. I guess he thought he looked good, but it wasn't. I can't see how that was comfortable. So as I get older, the more I'm concerned with the clothing that I wear being comfortable for me. I want it to be comfortable for you as well, but I want it to be comfortable for me. One of the things that I had to learn when I got into recovery was to eat. I know that sounds stupid, doesn't it? But when I'm drinking, I'm not eating. When I'm smoking, I'm not eating. I'm just existing. I would sometimes at the bar they had pickled eggs. Sometimes they had pickled pig feet. Y'all ever ate a pickled pig feet?
No.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. But then you think this is the pickled pigs. Yeah, so I didn't eat all that well when I was out using, so I had to, when I got into recovery, I had to learn, people eat like 3 times a day. And then I got into back in the 80s, I got into some bodybuilding, and you ate 5 times a day or 6 times a day, and you ate littler meals all day long. So I had to learn to eat. So one of the things that... Yeah. Right. All day long. And eat nuts and eat fruits and all of that stuff between the meals. And, there's bodybuilders eat a lot, much more. And what is amazing, at one time, I had a weight loss company, and back in the day, and on that weight loss program that we put people on, the biggest complaint was that they were too full all the time. They were, you had to eat 5 to 6 meals a day, but they lost weight like crazy because that's how, we're supposed to be eating all day long, kind of grazing and stuff like that, and you'll just lose weight coming and going. And it's an amazing thing. But people who are doing that are losing weight, but they're full all the time because they're eating more and more and more. So just eat regularly. We need to be in a place where we eat regularly. We don't need to be. I heard a guy the other day talking about it was a fallacy, which means lie, that you're supposed to eat breakfast, but I don't believe that. I think that we should have some type of breakfast. It could be a good sized breakfast, eat a really good lunch, a good sized dinner meal, and then the last meal that you eat that day should be a very light meal. We do it backwards. Don't do that. It's true. If you eat a heavy meal before you go to bed at night, you don't sleep as well. You don't rest as well, and you get fat. That's where your fat comes in. You get fat. So if you eat a good sized breakfast, a couple of eggs, some bacon, toast, and stuff like that, and then a good sized lunch, eat anything you want. That's when you eat your pork chops and all of that kind of stuff. And then that evening meal, that's when you eat your salad or you eat a little bit of something. And I don't eat anything after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So it is. So, that's it. But we need to eat regularly. A lot of the time, look, addicts don't eat regularly. Don't. We just eat sporadically when we have to keep ourselves alive. That's it. So because we're not focused on doing things that are healthy. We're focused on doing the drug. And so while I'm doing the drug, I'm certainly not eating the way that I need to eat. And I never was. A lot of the time, look, and I've told you, I lived under a house for a long time. So look, when you don't have money for a car, you don't have money for a house, you can't even rent a place, and you don't have, then you certainly don't have money for food. You don't. I was going to say, anybody ever eaten out of a trash can? Yeah, it's good to look. It's good to be in good company, right? I mean, look, some of those places throw away good stuff. Now, I'm not a proponent of that, and I don't do that anymore. But there was a time. Look, when you're hungry, what? You're hungry. You're hungry, right? Yeah, and you go somewhere, somebody throw away a half a hamburger. Somebody crazy. Half a. How are you gonna do that? Yeah, I've seen people. I've seen a whole. I was thinking I've never seen a whole pizza, but I've seen half of a pizza. I saw a lady. At the. There's that pizza place where you used to go and just eat all you wanted. CC's Pizza. She was eating the pizza. But what she'd do is she'd go get the pieces, 4 or 5 pieces of it. She would eat all the toppings, and then she would leave the bread part of the pizza, and she'd throw that away. So, that was crazy. I would have asked her to leave. They never did. And she sat there and ate a whole bunch of that stuff. But when you go to the dumpster outside, there's 4 or 5 of those big pieces of bread. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That can't be healthy because you're getting all the fat and all of the cheese and all of the junk. And the bread's supposed to break that up a little bit, but some people are like that. So one of the things I had to learn was to eat regularly and to find food. I remember one time, this is a long time ago, back on my days of sleeping under somebody's house, that I went to my aunt's house. And I knew where she lived, so I walked over to her house, and man, I couldn't find anything at all. That's the only reason I went there, to find something to eat. And I'm walking through her house, and I guess she had hidden all of her food because I couldn't find a bean. I couldn't find anything. So after a while, I left, and I think that was her plan. Let me know there's no food here for you. So I had to get out of that. Some of the things that we don't do enough of when we are when we're using drugs and stuff like that is fun activity. All of my activities are usually using drugs or alcohol. So when I'm getting into my recovery, say it again.
What about 6?
Say it again.
I said, what about 6?
What about sex?
Yeah, that's fun when you
Yeah.
You can burn some calories and stuff like that when you're having sex, but you know we're trying to keep our minds on a good moral place here. It is if you're doing it the right way. Yeah, got your mind where it's supposed to be. Now this is talking about stuff like walking and swimming and dancing and some type of sports. You know, just doing something to keep us active, something that we enjoy doing, something that's fun to do, and you know, something. There's a lot of stuff out there that people really enjoy doing, and it's not necessarily the same thing, right? Because the stuff that you enjoy doing, I may not enjoy doing.
Yep.
That doesn't mean it's a bad thing to do. That means that's what you like to do. And so that's what, you know, you go do that. I like to swim. I was a scoutmaster at one time, and we used to teach kids how to swim. And, you know, I like to swim sometimes, but I don't go to, like you were talking about, I don't go to the gym and go to the pool. If I'm going to swim, I would prefer to go to Kamal River. Y'all ever been there? That's over in the Texas Hill Country. It's really cold. Comes up out of the ground, goes for about 3 miles, and goes back in the ground. Cold, 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 running all the time. And you can swim against the current. It's not too deep. It feels good. But when you go get into the pool where everybody in the world has been in that same pool, I'm not too sure about that. So I don't want to do that. Yeah, you know. So you never know what kind of pollution is in there because people are nasty. So you're not, you know, maybe not everybody's at that place in their recovery where they've got their hygiene where it ought to be. And so, and all of that, you know, what kind of diseases that. So I don't usually do that. The other, I belong to another gym over in Anahuac, long way from here, and they have a pool. They have a pool there, but one of the other things that I had to learn was getting enough sleep. I didn't sleep as well as I should have last night, but just getting enough sleep. I need to be, you know, how many hours of sleep do you need? 6 to 8. It's according to, a lot of it is according to your age. You know, kids who are 14 to 18, they tend to sleep a whole lot more than adults do. And they actually need that because their body is still growing. Their minds and all of that stuff are still growing and becoming connected the way that they're supposed to be connected. And so they're still growing and all of that stuff. So they need that. But as you get older, about 7 hours is a good number, but you need to be able to get that. When I was using, I don't know what I got, 2 hours a night, 4 hours a night, something like that. And so I wasn't doing really well at all. And in early recovery, I still wasn't doing very well. It took me quite a while to get my sleeping habits where they ought to be. So get enough sleep. How do you do that? I have had people tell me, and if you're having issues like that, you need to come talk to me about it. I do have some stuff that you can do that will help you get a better night's sleep. But I've had people tell me that I haven't slept in 3 months. Y'all think that's true? No, that's not true. That's not true. You cannot not sleep. If you stay awake, you will, sooner or later, you'll just fall over. You're going to sleep. Your body has to sleep. It cannot stay awake forever. It does a lot of good work on you while you're asleep. Some people have, what's it called when you can't sleep? Insomnia. Yeah, some people have insomnia and stuff like that. But if you go over their habits and you watch what they do during the day, they'll do things like power nap. They'll be in a group like this, and they'll do like Jamarlin's doing there, lay his head down, just go to sleep in group and stuff like that. Or just close their eyes for a few minutes, and they don't even really know that they're doing that. You could be driving, close your eyes for a couple of minutes. So it's called a power sleeping, and they do that. And if you do that 4, 5, or 6 times a day, and then you come and tell me, well, I don't sleep at night. Okay, stay awake in the daytime. Perhaps you will. You know,
Well, I'm not on drugs. I can't sit down.
Oh, yeah.
But I would find times to actually just sit down. I'd be doing something with my hands,
yeah,
working with my phone or something like that.
sure.
But there was weeks at a time that I would not.
And I do know people who go weeks at a time, but I will
But
tell
that
you
was
this
all
too.
drugs.
When you were on drugs,
Yeah.
right, that your drug was artificially keeping you awake, and when you got off of them, you would crash.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the term crashing means. You're, boom, you're done, you're asleep for 3 days. And, you know, so your body has to have sleep. Your brain is repairing itself. Your body repairs itself. Your body gets rid of billions with a B, cells during the day, and a lot of those are rebuilt during the night. So your body does all sorts of really good things when you are sleeping. One of the best things about sleeping is you have the opportunity to dream, and most of us dream. I've had people tell me, well, I've never had a dream. Most of us don't remember our dreams, but everybody dreams. Everybody dreams. You may not remember dreaming, but you do. And your body is, again, working through some things to help you to, rely on do your life the way your life needs to be done when you wake back up and your conscience takes back over the next day. It is not a good idea to try to stay awake all night. That's not good. That is not good for you. Don't do that. If you have to go, look, if you've got some medical appointments on the last couple of days, last week I had to go see my endocrinologist, and she made me check my feet, so I took my shoes and socks off so she could check my feet, all of that kind of stuff. If you've got a medical appointment, you need to go do that. When I was in my addiction, I didn't go to the doctor. If your tooth hurts, what do you do? Or drink a little more vodka. You drink a little more vodka, who cares if the tooth hurts? It is not a great time. But man, you're so far off. God. So anyway, if you've got something going on, preventative medicine, something you need to do, go to the dentist, do those things. Now that we're in our recovery, that's going to help us. And why does that have to do anything with our recovery? When you feel good, you do well. When you feel well, you do well. When if my teeth aren't like they're supposed to be, then that can lead me to relapse. If I don't feel well, then that could. It's not necessary that it does, but it could lead me to relapse. If I'm feeling badly, it's just like if you feel depressed, if you feel anxious, if you feel sad, if your foot hurts, any of that stuff that's not correct, it could lead us to want to use again. It's a good trigger for us to use again. So we need to do that. I'm a 3 on that. I'm all the way over on the 3 on that. I'm going to tell you what. Sometimes I swear my doctor thinks I'm a what's the word I'm looking for? Hypochondriac. Yeah, my doctor thinks that, because if I get sick, if I don't feel well, I'm going to go see her. So and I'm just helping her make her car payment and all that kind of stuff. But if I don't feel well, I'm going to go see my doctor. If I have a toothache, I'm going to go see my doctor. I don't want it pulled, I want it fixed. I'm going to go see them. So do that. If you get sick, get enough rest. I want to tell you that's important. Look, here's the deal. When I was in my addiction, I never rested. When I was sick, I never rested. I kept running. I kept going. I kept doing what I needed to do. Every day I had to find that next little bit. I had to find some stuff. If you don't have money, it's hard to get the drug. So you got to know people who have the drug. You got to know people who will help you with the drug. All of that stuff. So in my overall physical self-care, I rate myself about a 2. On all of that stuff, I get about a 3. On a couple of them, on a couple more of them, I get and a two. There's one of them I need to go all the way over and flag it because I'm not doing any good on that at all. And that's my diet. I really don't do well on that. But generally, I'd say I stick at about a two. So, questions, comments, snide remarks? Nope. Nothing? All right, well, let's go and have our break real quick. We're taking a little bit more of a break. We'll be back about.
Oh, it's breakdown now, huh?
Well, it is. We're going a little early, but it's all right.
Oh, snacks.
Hey man, when you go cut my hair, man, that's I'm looking at that false fade up. I'm about to mean on the chair. The chair is broke. Man, you can't have it broke, yeah.
That's true.
I don't know. I should be. That's the last one, just to watch her. I should have a money. Ain't no got more coffee left? You want to still make me like those smoke? I'm last one. Just last one. This one right here. Yep. Y'all sir. Hey, you're trying to pull out the karaoke machine with that full voice. You put the karaoke machine with that his voice. That's why I'm reading. I've been reading the world. It's such that way.
I'm seeing we get more bacon out here. I think I still think it's in the yeah, Mark Ward.
Just me. Smart question?
Oh, that's I'm sure I'm working on it. Like I said, words.
Done today? Yeah.
Time to leave. Then,
Yeah, $80.
Huh?
Favorite?
Just say water.
I'm on
Oh, what's that food? Basically this one. Right.
this. That's a new one.
It's probably my favorite.
okay. I was easy to get through.
to make the same thing about it. You can hear that.
Yeah, but it's in the paper.
You can hear
Somebody is good. Not better.
This time I'm going to study, you won't know.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, in my mind. That was the only thing that anytime you go to rehab, you always got to find it. You can bind. You never know that it's pretty wild. And that's what anybody that. Go ahead, sorry, dude. Well, we should.
Yeah. She's stuck on the rehab. I see y'all 13 times.
Was that? That was all.
Yeah.
Anybody can put things in the book, you got to get on it. What is it? 10.
It's great.
This is you, man. We're going to be in that kid. This is what's the name? Look at that. What's the name? Yeah, you got one.
Still good.
But nothing.
Last 12 hours. I tell you, well, we need my food. How you know? Like it. Like, yeah. Oh, like red pipes. A red pipe. Hold it. Who you look for, Inspector? So leave you alone. Oh man. Don't do that.
Man, we take.
I almost said good.
Man, we take.
But
That's why we be going through this thing doing.
somebody
Yeah. Hey,
Because they were asking me if they need the prescriptions for medication, something else. I don't know what else they needed, but I haven't got
now it's two.
Yeah.
No, two, right?
No, that's why I was going to talk to the case.
I said, I thought I said one, two, I thought you got one set.
I know two, right?
Well, we do have a whole bunch more. We're not going to go as in depth as we were going at the first part of it, because to tell you the truth, I'm suddenly not feeling as well as I want to, so I may need to go somewhere and sit down for a minute.
Anything to do with that?
Say that again.
Do I have anything to do with that?
Did you have anything to do with it? I don't think so. Maybe, but I don't think so.
Always my sugar, I feel like.
Yeah, I think that's, every now and then my sugar will go up or down. It's in pretty good shape right now. It shouldn't be that. But we have a few other little things that we need to look at real closely on this self-assessment thing. And I didn't do that one really well, but I've been having a little stomach pain, probably for the last couple of months. Y'all know that. So that's probably what all of that is. But we didn't go over and grade ourselves the way that we were supposed to grade ourselves. So y'all, just grade yourself, and when we're finished with this, y'all go through it, read it, and grade yourself on them. See how you think you're doing. The next one is psychological or emotional self-care. I'm going to tell you this, that a lot of us, and maybe not any of you, but I do know that myself, I needed some psychological self-care to get things going. When I got,
We ain't know y'all started back.
yeah, I'm sorry. We got started a little bit early.
Well,
My fault. Well, I said what time we were supposed to be back before I left, so I thought everybody heard me, but I apologize. I didn't say it loud enough. But in psychological, emotional self-care, I had some issues that I had to deal with when I was, and I still do. And a lot of times it has to do with work and stuff like that. One of the big things we need to do when we're doing something, when you have a job, you're in school, or whatever it is, you need to take some time for you, right? I mean, we all have a family. Everybody here, when you get out of here and get a job, you need to fulfill your obligations. My boss, and I told her the other day that I knew I wasn't hired here to be sick. So they don't hire us to be sick, and they don't hire us to be late, and they don't hire us to do all those kinds of things. But look, we need to know going in that it is important for us to have some self-care. We need to do some stuff. We need to be able to take some time off and go do things. What was that?
I said, wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Do that too, yeah. But look, here's some things. This one I don't do as well as I ought to. I'm trying to work on that. I've had one day off this year. That was a day off that I didn't have to do anything. So I'm going to probably take one more day off in in what's the next month? May. There's we have Labor Day, what is it? Memorial Day? Is it Memorial Day? Now that's a national holiday for us, and we can get that off if we want to. So I may be taking Memorial Day off, just to have a day, and we may go to Mandeville, Louisiana. It's a nice little town. Just walk through and do some shopping. But one of the things we need to do is take time off from work, from school, or other obligations. Just take some time away. Take some time off. Do some stuff for self-care. And I'm probably over here where the stars are. I'm going to give myself maybe a 2 on that. I do that, but I don't do that well enough. What I do is in October, every year in October, my wife and I take a 2-week vacation. And we go to all over the place. This year we're going to Garner State Park over in the hill country. Stay over there. There's a couple of state parks we're going to go to over there. So we need to do some of those. So I'm thinking maybe I'm a 2-star on that one. Not as good as I ought to be. Participate in some hobbies. How many folk have hobbies? Yeah. What's your hobby? What is your hobby?
Bike riding, disc golf,
bike
art,
riding?
drawing.
What's your hobby?
Reading and writing.
Reading? Yeah. Now, what's your hobby? Cutting hair and working out. And it's hard to do at the same time. But somehow. What's your hobby?
Bike riding.
Bike riding? Bicycle or motorcycle?
Bicycle.
Okay. That's what I ought to do. I've got 2 motorcycles at home. I don't ride them anymore, but I've got them. Right? So I'm trying to think of what I do for a hobby. A lot of people like to go fishing. A lot of people like to go boating. A lot of people like to talk in group, keep other people paying attention.
Archery.
So, archery. I've actually done that a couple of times back when I was in the Boy Scouts and stuff like that. I did a little bit of that. I enjoyed it to some extent, but then it hurts because I'm always hitting my wrist and hurting that. I like to go shoot. I go out to the range. There's a range here in town that I go to. Say it again? Yeah, next time we go, you're going to go with me. No, I don't want him to be the target. Man, that's nasty. What I want him to do is just hold the target. I just don't want him to be. You don't be the target.
Hold it up.
Believe, Mr. Shaw. I want him to hold it.
Now we want him to hold it right around this year.
Hold it.
They might keep me
Center
out.
mass. Center mass.
They might keep me
Park
out.
Street.
And this is a real big deal, getting away from distractions. I was watching a thing this morning about trying to get kids off of their cell phone, and they put 4 young ladies sitting down together. All of them got their phones out. They were all playing on their phones instead of talking to one another. So they took 14 days and got people off of their phones for 14 days, and they actually had to go through withdrawal from their phone. So that's one of the things that when I go on my next time off, the phone's going to stay at the house. Not going to be any connections at all. But in our RV, we have a television that's big, about half the size of that one. So you're never completely gone away from all of that stuff. But your email and your phone, and we need to be able. I think every day we should take a couple hours and just say that thing doesn't. And that's been one of the things you guys have had an opportunity to do here is take a break from all of that technology and just let it go for a few minutes. And still, we really want to be on that phone, really want to be connected. I remember back when I was a young guy, I was a compressor mechanic. I went out in the woods and I was working on a compressor, and I had to keep the lights on my truck so I could see what was going on. And I turned around after working on that compressor for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, whatever it was, and my headlights looked like butter. I said, I went and turned everything off, and I had to walk out of there. because there was no cell phones back in the day. I know y'all can't remember back that far, but there were no cell phones. There was no any kind of phone. And so, you either walked out or sat there. So I walked out. So it was about 15 miles. That's a good little walk. So get away from those distractions every now and then is going to help our emotional self-care. It's going to help us psychologically to do that. Also, learn some new things unrelated to work or to school. Learn something different. Now, I've told you guys a whole bunch of time, and I wish you'd take down the address and do it. Allison.com. I'll look that up. And anything you want to learn, you can learn in there. Almost anything for free. It's a good plan. Look in there and see what's in there. My wife decided she wanted to learn sign language, American Sign Language, and they have it there. So they've got just about everything. Yes, sir.
And I got Jeep Tech on here too.
You got what?
Jeep Tech training.
Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure it's good.
College.
Yeah, to get a scholarship to go to college. Now, the thing is, this Allison.com, they can teach you everything, and it's free. It's not college level. Some of it feels like it. I'm going through a thing now in pharmacology, and I want to guarantee you it's way deep. It's not what an MD would learn, but it's pretty deep. So learn some new stuff, something that's not related to what you're doing now. Learn something different, something new. And that's going to help you psychologically, because I will tell you, as you build your self-esteem, that's going to help you immensely when it comes to dealing with the drugs and alcohol and all of that stuff when you get out of here. Because if my self-esteem is at a good place, and I pray every day to be a confident, powerful, spiritual person. Because if I am that, then I don't need the drugs to make me what I want to be. Because usually I'm not okay with my reality. So I use some mood-altering drugs to make me forget my reality or make my reality appear to be different. It's not, but it makes it appear to be different for a few minutes, and so that's why I use that. If I can go and do something to actually make it different, then that lifts my self-esteem up quite a bit. Working out will do that. You go over here to the gym and just sit in the... That was sad. That is so sad. That was sad. So go over here to the gym and watch as people go in there. A lot of times they go in there, they look like they're dragging at the end of the day or something. But when they come out of there, there's a different bounce in their step because they have got that little endorphin dump, and they also feel better about who they are, and their self-esteem has gone up a little bit. So it's something good to do. So learn some new things. Over there and learn some of that stuff and see what you can do. There's always something good in there. Think about something you'd like to do and just go see if they do it. I'm sure they don't do everything in the world, but they do. I've never had anything that I was looking for that they didn't do. But I'm sure there's some things in there that you can. So learn some new things, and then I'm going to give myself a 3 on that because I'm always trying to do something, always learning something new, and I'm about to wear out Allison.com. I tell you, I thought that at some point they would say, "Hey, send me some money or something," but they never have, and they always at the end of it they tell you how to get your certificate. You have to buy the certificate. But there is a thing that shows that you did it without buying it. So you can do it for absolutely free. So it's something else I had to learn. And I learned it in school, and I learned it by life, and I learned it all of that kind of way because I had anger issues, And so anger got me in a whole lot of trouble a whole lot of times. And so, I had to learn to express my feelings in a healthy way by talking, I never did. I was never any good at creating art, but I did try to do some journaling, and I did some journaling and stuff like that. I wrote. I have 7 books out there that I have written and published, and you guys should be buying them. I mean, I know that sounds like a commercial, but what that is a commercial. So y'all ought to buy them. You shouldn't buy just one though. You should go look my books up and buy like 10 or 12 of them. Give them to your family at Christmas, stuff like that. Come on, you know. So, just I need to do those kinds of things to help me in my emotional self-care. Sometimes I want to feel better about who I am. And so when I'm looking at those things, when I'm journaling and stuff like that, it helps me to do that. I'll recognize my strengths, recognize your achievements. I want to share this with you that everybody in here has some pretty good achievements if you'll think about it. Think about some of the things you've done in your life. I mean, you have some pretty good achievements that you've done. Now, one of the big things is you stop using. You stop. You quit using. That's an amazing accomplishment. So don't sell yourself short on that. Because you have done some great things. And this is really important too. Is to go on vacation. Take some day trips. If you get out there, get a job, save up some money. My wife and I, when we first were married, we had the kids and everything. We went everywhere in the world. We'd take those kids everywhere. We'd save up our money over a year, and then when the income tax money came back, boom. We went to the Grand Canyon. We went to Sedona, Arizona, Flagstaff. We went to Rat World, and we went to all of those. Everything you could. So we need to go. And taking day trips from here, a day trip in this part of the world, again, there's a whole ton of places you can go. Go to the beach. Anybody here been to the beach? Isn't that a nasty place? That's nasty. That is not pretty. I don't like our beach at all. So you can still go. The beach itself isn't all that bad. When you get down to Galveston, the ride on the ferry across is nice. Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, I would have said Florida. Been to Florida on this side. It's here. On that side, you can see 30 feet down, man. It's great. My son came and got me and said, Dad, there's a crawfish over here. So I went to look, and I looked down, and it was a lobster. And, the lobster was about that big, but he looked like he was that because you could see that far down in the water. But I've not been to North Carolina, so that's that part.
Oregon has sand dollars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So, there's these are things you don't know unless you go. So you need to do some things. Day trips from here, from this point right here, you can drive over to Orange, and they have great big old gardens over there. What's the name of that?
Shangri-La.
Shangri-La. Yeah, and it's, you can go in there. It used to be free, but it's not. If you're going to walk through it now, you got to pay a couple of bucks. Say what it is?
You got to pay when you go to Bridge City.
Yeah. I'll tell you, there's people in Bridge City that are paying to get out of there. I don't know about to go in there. Yeah. Do something comforting, something that you like to do. Find something you like to do. Rewatch an old movie or something like that. Find some good reasons to laugh. Talk to somebody about any problems that you may have. If you have something that's a problem, you need to go talk to somebody. That's why we have therapists. That's why we have counselors. That's why we have sponsors and sober support people. Go do that stuff. The next one is social self-care. That's just as important. Spend time with people you like. What's the only caveat to that? I want to spend time. I don't look. This is kind of funny because I don't spend time with people I don't like. It's hard for me to find people I don't like, though, because I like most people. I'm just kind of like people, But I'm not going to spend time with people I don't like. But I'm also not going to spend time with people who are going to threaten my sobriety. Right? If I know, look, if I like that guy, I like that girl, I think they're fantastic people, I love them to pieces, I just, man, like being around them, but I know they're going to be high, I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to have to. So I don't need that person. There's got to be somebody else, that's around that's going to fulfill that same need in my life without needing somebody to excuse it. If you're going to do that, you're almost guaranteed to lose your sobriety. So if your sobriety is not worth any more than that to you, go ahead. But if it is, if your sobriety is worth more than that person, it's something to think about. So I'm probably a 2 on that. Call or write to friends and family who are far away. Y'all know that this last Saturday, my brother called me. I'm supposed to call him every other Saturday, so I told him, I said, well, okay, Don, I'm going to bed now, but I'll call you next Saturday. He said, yeah, if you don't forget. So, I do forget, but you got to make sure you don't do this. I'm going to have to put myself at like a 1 on that too, because I'm not really good at calling people. I prefer to talk to you eyeball to eyeball. Then I don't like calling people on the phone. I don't know why that is. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. Yeah. Night, John boy. Get it?
What?
I said good night, John boy. Did you get it?
Yeah, John. Yeah.
The Walton.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Walton. So that was good stuff. But call those people, write those people, that just gives you something to get back and forth with those folks with. And that's something that's going to help you with your own social well-being and your self-care. Have stimulating conversations. Sometimes our conversation can be a little bit overstimulating. It can be. You don't need to be doing that. Meet new people. Where would you go to meet new people?
Church.
Yeah, you can meet new people at church. Are all the people at church really good people? No. You can meet some nasty, ugly, stupid, people at church. But you can also meet some really good people at church. Some of the best people I ever met was in prison. Met some really good people in prison. Well, I don't know. They were in there for all sorts of different reasons. Yeah. So I worked at the prison for 16 and a half years, and I met a lot of people out there. Some of them were inmates, some of them were correctional officers, and some of them, all of those people. Yeah, I knew Mr. Washington. He was down there. So, I met some good people. I've met some really, really good, outstanding people at church, too. I'm not saying all the people there are nasty, but I've met some people there that were there for the wrong reasons. So, you need to be cautious about who you're going to hang out with. Meet new people, but make sure that when you go to meet that person, you're meeting them in good places and you're meeting good people in those places. You know what type of people you need to hang out with. So hang out with the right type of people. Look, here it is proven that whatever type of people you hang out with, you're going to be involved in whatever they're involved in.
Birds in a feather flock together.
Yes, absolutely. If you hang out with a bunch of bowlers, they're going to teach you how to bowl. You can't sit on the sidelines and never bowl. You're going to learn how to bowl. Might not be any good, but you'll know how to do it. If you hang out with a bunch of bakers, you're going to learn how to make a cake. Just as sure as shooting, you're going to be able to do that. You're going to learn, if you hang out with some dopers, you're going to learn how to do it. If you don't already know, somebody will teach you. So, got to know, meet. Don't just meet new people, meet the right new people. So, spend some time alone. It says, look, meeting new people, I think I'm probably at a 2 on that. Spending time alone with your romantic partner. I'm probably at a 2 here. I don't spend enough time with my wife, And something has happened to the phones around here. I used to call her every day. I can't. My phone won't work here. I have to drive down the road for my phone. So it's funny. So ask for help when you need it. Who do you ask for help from?
Sponsor.
Your sponsor's a good one. God's a good one. God's always waiting on you to do that. Talking to your sober support group.
Family.
Who?
Family.
Family.
Probation officer.
Probation officer. Yeah, sometimes, I've met some really good probation officers. I've met some who are cool. But, and family, if your family's clean, if your family's not using, then yes, that's a great resource for us. If they're using, they're not. And sometimes that gets, I get a lot of pushback on that. Sometimes that's a hard thing. If you've got a family member that's using, do you still love that family member?
Yes.
Well, yeah. Well, of course. Are you going to go hang out at their house a lot? You shouldn't.
Maybe every now and then.
You shouldn't. Every now and then to get high. That's what.
I get high.
I know, but that's what would happen to me. Yeah.
And feel like a lot like your father showed the love in their kitchen. You know what I'm saying? It's not good.
No, it's not. It's not. And you should be doing whatever you can to help them get into their recovery.
Yeah.
But me putting my recovery, look, I had a lady that was in our group, not here, she was in our AA group at our church, and she was going back to get some of her buddies. So what do you mean? She said, I have friends that are still using. I'm going to go back to get them out of that lifestyle. So, okay, how long have you been clean? How long have you been sober? Nearly 3 months. You've been sober nearly 3 months, and you're going to go, you're not ready yet. You can't, no. You're not, at 3 months, you don't even have, some of it's still in your system. And so she told us our group didn't know what they were talking about. She left and we never saw her again. Hopefully, look, I don't know what happened. I know what I think happened. But hopefully she went over there and got those guys out of there and they're all living somewhere in Shangri-La and everything is wonderful. But I don't know that. So ask for help when you need it and go to the right people to do that. Do enjoyable activities with other people because we are social animals. We need to have other people in our life. Our AA group goes to the beach and has sober stuff that we do at the beach. Play volleyball and all of that kind of stuff. Eat hot dogs, which are not good for you at all to eat, but we do it anyway on the beach. And drink water and tea and all of that kind of stuff. We're real serious about not triggering anybody because we got a bunch of young people in our group, and we only allow the drinks to be in the jugs, the gallon tea jug, and we get gallon tea and gallon other kind of stuff because we don't want them drinking out of Coca-Cola cans because they would remind them of a beer can. And, so we have a real good time doing that, though. So it's a good time. So get with other people. Do some stuff. Keep in touch with some old friends who are not using. Stay away from old friends who are using. You don't need to be around those people. We are supposed to be really serious about staying away from old people, places, and things. I'm going to tell y'all this. I do know how hard that is because I've been doing this for 26 years, teaching the same stuff for 26 years. And 26 years ago, I had a group of about 50 guys, and I said, stay away from old people, places, and things. And about 10% of the group went. And down through the years, I have never had a group where there wasn't one or two people that, you can't tell me stay away from my friends. Them my friends, they get your shirt right off your back. Okay. If you don't stay away from old people, places, and things, your chances drop precipitously. Can you do it? Yes. Oh, yes, there's always an outlier. There's always that one person in a million that can do it. And you may be that person, I don't know. But the odds are way against you. So if you go back to old people, places, and things, and 3 days later, you're hiring a kite. Yeah, I mean, that's
They
what
might give you the shirt off their back, they'll also give you drugs out of the pocket.
Say it again.
They might give you the shirt off their back, but they'll also give you drugs out of the pocket.
I like that. That was good. He said they might give this for the ladies over there north. He said they might give you the shirt off their back, but they'll also give you the drugs out of their pocket. Because they love you. Here's the deal. Most of the people who love me when I was drunk. They don't love me sober. Sober, I'm different. Sober, I'm judgmental. Sober, I'll tell you.
You can't be like that, God.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Sober, I'm judgmental. I will tell you in a moment. I don't do that. You don't do that at my house. We don't do that you don't do that around me. If you do that, you're going to, lose your sobriety. I will tell you those things because I know. Not because I have been trained to know, but because I have lived to know. I've done that. Yeah, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. So, anyway. So, my overall social care for myself, my overall self-care, I would have to say that's still attitude. I'm not doing the best in the world at that. I'm not as outgoing with people as I ought to be. We went to church yesterday, and I ran into Miss Charnel at church. And so, I was nice to her and her feller and her feller's dog. I was just nice to everybody. But I'm not as outgoing as I should.
Stay away from her. Did you have fun at church?
Say it again.
Did you have fun at church?
Do I have fun at church? Yes, sir.
Hallelujah.
Well, you need to come to church with me because I'm a worshiper. I worship the Lord God as hard as I can. And if you're in the way, you might get hurt. So, just know, I love my God. So, spirit, and that brings us right over into spiritual self-care. And we're going to go real quick. Look, spirituality doesn't always mean church, right? This is spiritual week. Spirituality doesn't always mean church. So here's the deal. You can find spirituality at church, but you don't necessarily have to go to church to get spiritual things going on. But spiritual self-care, you need to spend some time in nature. I'm going to give myself a 3 on that. Whenever I go somewhere, I'm in the woods. And I have 8 acres of land out there, and it's all woods except for about an acre of it. That's where the house is, and I've got a barn on there, and I've got some other stuff. But the rest of it is in trees. Got some big old grand oaks, and they're beautiful. A lot of pine trees and stuff like that. Have a really good time out there. Meditate. But what I meditate is on the Word of God. Read the Bible in the morning before I come over here. I'll read a chapter out of the Old Testament, chapter out of the New Testament. Then I sit for a few minutes and meditate on what I just read. I usually meditate more out of the New Testament because I'm a New Testament Christian, not an Old Testament. So pray. I pray on the way here. I pray every night, and I pray for you guys. Sometimes I pray for you guys, and then I think, man, I wish I'd had it worked. Get it? I wish I'd had it worked, but so I do pray for you guys.
It might work, it just might not work right then and there.
Say it again.
It might work, it just might not work right then and there.
Well, you got that. You're right about that. And you can't always tell. God is not required to show it to you. Jamar, leave him alone. Let him. He might want to get something out of the group. Leave him alone. Hey.
No, I just told him I get it.
So recognize the things that give meaning to your life. What gives meaning to your life? You know, here's the thing: if something gives no meaning at all to your life, does that seem like a waste of time? It does to me. Sometimes, look, just because life is life, sometimes we have to do things that really don't add much to our life. Sometimes, look, have you ever had a job you just didn't like at all? Yeah. I've had a couple of those. You know, I love this job. This job is great. You know, getting to be with you guys every day, it's just, man, makes my toes tingle and all of that stuff. I just love it. I do enjoy my job. I do enjoy what I do. I enjoy doing the research and I enjoy doing classes and all of that kind of stuff. But I have been in jobs that I did not like. I didn't care for at all. And, you know, so being in something that doesn't uplift you or something like that, when it doesn't, what do?
Depressed.
You can get depressed, but I think what you should do, instead of getting depressed, let's look for something that is more uplifting for us to do, right? If I got a job that's not uplifting, not doing me any good at all, I need to be looking for one that will. What do I do in the interim? What do I do until I find that job?
Make it to make it.
Make it to make it. You stay where you are until you get somewhere to go. My dad never taught me a whole lot, but he taught me that. He said, don't just quit. Wait until you find something better, then go. You know, because you got to eat until you can find another spot. Act in accordance with your morals and your values. Know what you want in your life. Know what you want to go on with you for that time. Do what you need to do. Set aside time for thought and reflection. That's one of those things we set ourselves aside so we can do what we need to do. Participate in a cause that is important to you. Find something that's important to you. You know, that's why I'm in church. It's important to me to try my. Say it again.
I got my animals.
Yeah, animals. That's my wife's an animal person. You know, I do like animals, but I like them grits and gravy. Yeah. So, appreciate good art. My overall spiritual self-care, I think I'm on a 2. I could be better at that. So, real quickly, I'm going to go over this last one real quickly because just about time for us to quit. Improve professional skills. Whatever your job is, try to get better at it. I'm at a 3 on that, I think. I'm always trying to get better at what I do. Say no to excessive new responsibilities. I'm at a 1 on that. Don't break the chair.
Yeah, I'm not really good at saying
Don't lean back in. It will break. We've broken about 5 of them, and there's no money to buy new ones. So
I feel like sometimes when I take on more responsibilities, I might need a raise or something like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I do that too, and it's not good for me. So I don't say no well enough. So I'm probably at a 1 on that. Take on projects that are interesting. I do want to do the interesting stuff. Sometimes I take on projects and I think they're interesting and they work out not to be. So I'm probably a 2 on that. Learn new things. I'm related to my profession. I'm 3 on that. I'm always trying to learn. Make time to talk and build relationships with colleagues. We pretty much have to. We have to build relationships in counseling professions. So I'm probably at least a 2 on it. Take breaks during lunch. Yeah, I mean during work. Take breaks during work. I'm like a 4 on that one. I'm ready for a break. Anytime somebody says good, I think they're starting to say break, and I just go head on. You know, that's not true. I don't do that well enough. Maintain balance between my professional and personal life. That's something we need to be doing. Maintaining balance. Don't just be a workaholic. That doesn't work. Keep a comfortable workspace. Sometimes I do that. Advocate for fair pay, benefits, and other needs. I do. I go when it's time. not pushy or anything like that. But when it's time, and I know I've done a good job and all of that kind of stuff, I'll tell my boss, hey, I do a little something, something to show you love him. You know. So overall, professional well care, I think I'm probably at a 2. I could be just about on all of this. I could be a little bit better. And look, I know this was a little bit different today, but all of this stuff is helpful for us personally when it comes to staying in my recovery. We need to know. And questions, comments, or snide remarks? Everybody here knows Mr. Farmer.
Wait, that's all.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I need you.
Okay, I'm coming. So, no questions, comments, snide remarks? Yes, sir. You all right? Okay. Ladies, I'll be over there just a little while to get my sign-in sheets.